It's time to look back on the last 30 years. Because I'm turning 30 this month. Pretty crazy, right? I don't even look my age. I was born in Toronto on February 6, 1992, and have evolved into, quite frankly, something else that I don't think anybody in my life expected. So, to celebrate the occasion, I'm gonna break the ice and finally answer a question that a lot of people ask me. What are my favorite movies of all time? Well, turning 30, let's make it 30. This will be a 3-part countdown retrospective discussing, in brief, honest opinions of what films are timeless classics and guided my path on the quest of life and impacted me the most in filmmaking and storytelling. Now, just to clarify, yes, I am kind of ripping off James Rolfe's concept of top 30 favorite films. Both of us come from a similar background of influence, so you might see some of the same movies, but my list has some merits that you'll find unexpected or of higher and lower praise. Some of these I've already covered as full reviews, so you can guess some of the top contenders, but let's see what makes the list as a whole, and some of these titles you may have never seen or heard of, but I'd highly recommend regardless. So, sit back, relax, grab a bag of popcorn and a soda drink, and let's dive in. From all of us at BigJackFilms, I proudly present my top 30 favorite movies. Number 30, Django Unchained. From director Quentin Tarantino comes a love letter to the spaghetti westerns of the 50s to the 70s. The plot is a loose sequel to the Django series starring Franco Nero, who actually makes a cameo in the film, passing the torch to the new Django played by Jamie Foxx.
What's your name?
Django. The D is silent.
I know.
Django is a slave who is set free by a bounty hunter played by Christoph Waltz, and together the two tangle capturing slave owners in the Old West, eventually leading to Django's wife under the property of the sinister Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. The controversy surrounding this film does have its merits to some capacity, but what this film does is take one of humanity's worst atrocities and creates a passively aggressive reliever for filmgoers, in the style of the genre that dominated films of the Old West. But outside of it just being a kick-ass gunslinging epic, it's the characters and award-winning performances that steal the show. Jamie Foxx is electrifying as Django. Christoph Waltz delivers another Oscar win after his work with Quentin prior on Inglourious Bastards. And Leo DiCaprio...
Hey! Lay your palms flat on that tabletop! If you lift those palms off that turtle shell tabletop, Mr. Pooch is gonna let loose with both barrels of that sawed-off.
God, he got snubbed for this role, playing one of Tarantino's greatest villains. The guy fucking ripped his hand apart shooting a scene. How is that not more Oscar-winning than getting fucked by a bear? Seriously, Oscars, what the hell?
No!
But the character who steals the show is Stephen Warren, played by Samuel L. Jackson.
It's different. In the big house. Well, you got a problem with that?
Oh, no, I ain't got no problem with it.
I can't really play much of his dialogue, but needless to say, it's the live-action Uncle Ruckus, and it's both terrifying and kind of hilarious.
I said, what's so special about that? We do that shit all the time.
Now, while I love me a good Western, most notably the Dollars trilogy, which almost made this list, Django is the top-tier Western of the modern era, paying tributes to the past with the filmmaking skills of the future with one of our greatest living film directors. It's a bit of a brutal watch and is a little long in some extents, but by the end of it, you're exhilarated. It's easily Quentin Tarantino's magnum opus. Number 29, Gran Torino. While Django beat out Clint Eastwood's awesomeness in the Dollars trilogy, I couldn't do this list without paying some respect to the legend. And for me, Gran Torino is the best acted and directed work of Clint Eastwood. The plot is about a dying old veteran of the Korean War, who in essence has lost everything as many immigrant families move into his hometown. He really has no purpose in his life until a small family moves next door, and following them is a small band of thugs, and Clint stands strong to defend his neighborhood.
Get off my lawn.
You fucking crazy? Go back in the house.
I blow a hole in your face and then I go in the house. And I sleep like a baby.
We used to stack fucks like you 5 feet high in Korea, use you for sandbags.
Ultimately not knowing the friends he's made in the process next door. This is the definitive story about the themes of redemption from a terrible life of hardships, and only the likes of Clint Eastwood can play a character of a long-forgotten era of American history and culture. It's clear he lived a full life of brutality and misery, and his story gives him a final chance at purpose with nothing to show for it other than a pure heart to help others, even if his words and tactics are extremely harsh.
Shut your fucking face.
Again, like Django, I won't give too much away and just let you watch it for yourself. I saw it on a whim in 2008 during festival and awards season after a full year of awesome movies, and didn't expect the film to hit me as hard as it did, with a more grounded emotional story that I can kind of relate to. My father served in Vietnam under the 75th Airborne Ranger Division, and as a veteran, I respect and honor his service, and the film made me realize how much heart and courage war veterans go through in their later years in life. So, if you want an inside story and a definitive tale of redemption, definitely check this one out. It's Clint's best directed film, and despite movies later in his career, it's been hard to top this one. So, grab the keys and give this one a good drive.
Beats a lonely rhythm all night long.
Number 28, The Birds. A lot of films on this list are of the best of many of Hollywood's directors. So of course, what's a film without a little splice of the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock? And for me, The Birds is the master's greatest work, being one of the first I watched for the concept alone. Before the so bad it's good animal exploitations from Jaws to Birdemic, the story follows a woman traveling the countryside into a small island town which suddenly has a birdemic of its own, as the likes of crows and seagulls begin to swarm and violently attack the locals. All of Hitchcock's work in suspense filmmaking is perfected here, and unlike previous films, what makes this movie scary is the lack of zero film score. No shower theme from Psycho by Bernard Herrmann or the gripping suspense chase music from Strangers on a Train, just the eerie sound of a quiet town and the distant storm of birds flapping and cawing. It creates a thick, light breathing atmosphere that makes you feel unsafe no matter how much the human characters try to evade the birds' threats, cause those things will peck your fucking eyes out. Literally.
I think you're the cause of all this. I think you're evil! Evil!
Not to be blunt, but this horror film will definitely make you run so far away like a flock of seagulls. Number 27, The Terminator. Yes, I know the second one is superior and one of the best sequels of all time, but I'm sorry, the original is a classic and one of James Cameron's best, being one of his earliest. If you don't know the story, you ain't watching movies right, man. A time-traveling robot and a human soldier from an apocalyptic future are sent back in time to fight over the hotness that is Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor for the future of mankind and machine alike. What makes this film stand out from the later sequels is many of sorts. For one thing, while it's an action movie and a damn good 80s one at that, the film is also a horror film with the Terminator on par with the likes of Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, leading to tons of suspense and keeping you on the edge of your seat from beginning to end. The second being the budget, which was pretty low at the time, giving it a charm and creativity on a massive scale, utilizing a lot of first-time filmmakers and effects masters from animatronics, stop motion, and miniature effects. But the one thing that most people overlook is a genuine love story within it all. Not gonna lie, Cameron has an eye for that in his writing, directing, and visuals, which I love in all of his work. I want to cover this movie in more depth later on in the future, but for now, in the past or present, this movie is a sci-fi 80s masterpiece from one of our most respected filmmakers.
I'll be back.
Number 26, The Land Before Time. From directors of live action to animation, this is my favorite of director Don Bluth's work, and rightfully so. For a lot of people, combining the high-quality animation that rivals Disney with the awesomeness of dinosaurs, what's not to like? Well, there's more than that. It's a classic 5-member journey story that had kids on the quest rather than adults, as 5 youthful dinosaurs must find the mythical Great Valley to be reunited with their families after being separated by earth-shattering dangers. You could say this film is a feature-length version of Walt Disney's Rite of Springs from Fantasia, but this movie perfected it, and I think we know why it resonates with a lot of people who grew up with it. Not gonna lie, watching it again, which was a short experience being only an hour, believe it or not, while nostalgia is one thing, the film actually got me to shed a tear a few times as an adult. I won't say where and when, but you can probably guess. The film is a childhood classic and deservingly so, and I definitely would recommend it to kids to give them a bit more weight in a story. I'll talk about it more in the future, but this is one of the best dinosaur movies of all time, and of course, it's from Universal Studios. So, check it out. But have the TreeStar tissue box handy. Number 25, The Adventures of Robin Hood. Good God, in Sherwood, I love this movie. Out of all the tales of the legendary Legolas of England, this one is still the superior film to all the adaptations, and it's one of the definitive swashbucklers of all time. If you've seen other versions like the Disney film, it's a pretty basic Robin Hood plot. Stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, fighting bad guys like Evil Son of Frankenstein, and King Invisible Man, no I'm not kidding, in hope for the return of the good King Richard the Lionheart to restore peace to the land. This movie came out around the time that color was a big thing in movies, and really took advantage of it. And I'd say compared to the likes of The Wizard of Oz, which came out around the exact same time, I like this film a little better for a number of reasons. For one is the colors, which to this day mixed with the cinematography looks unbelievable with the sets and vast number of extras. The second being the action and adventure, from the stunts, sword fighting, and music. But for me, it's mostly the cast. Errol Flynn was born to play this part, and he brings all the characteristics of Robin Hood at full force in this picture.
What's the matter, Gisborne? Run out of hangings? I know a ripe subject for one.
He's just so charming to watch, and it looked like him and the entire cast were having a ball of fun making it. And outside of Basil Rathbone being great as always as a top-tier casted villain, Claude Rains is having the time of his fucking life playing Prince John.
What's the matter? Have you no stomach for honest meat?
For honest meat, yes. But I've no stomach for traitors.
You call me traitor?
You? Yes.
I don't know why, but I see a lot of Jake's role when he played Carl Denham in our remake of King Kong here. It's just deliciously evil. Another film I want to review and talk about sometime, but needless to say, it's the definitive swashbuckler epic of the golden age of cinema. Definitely give it a shot. Number 24, Toy Story. Another childhood classic for me and a lot of people in general, not just for Disney, but being the first computer animated feature film was a huge gamble and milestone for film and technology. But while it was the selling point, it had more to offer. Great characters for one, with a great cast with toys you'd actually want to play with after the fact, a classic story of a buddy comedy filled with smart humor and genuine heart, and music and songs by a very talented artist in the music industry was a perfect storm of creativity, equal to that of the achievements in CGI, and put Pixar Animation Studios on the map as one of the greatest in the industry. But its biggest takeaway is how much it was a time capsule of my childhood. I was the right age demographic for this movie when it came out, and loved the toys as a kid playing with Woody and Buzz recreating scenes from the movie. There's just something about toys that I really admire, even as an adult, that allows so much to be created, and Toy Story knew that. Everyone's talked about the film, and I'm not going to be a broken record and repeat what everyone else has said, but this film is a beloved classic for everyone who grew up with it then and now. It's a perfect family film for everyone to enjoy. Enough said, just go watch it again.
To infinity and beyond!
Number 23, Battle Royale. Holy shit, where do I even begin with this ballsy-ass flick? Well, for starters, I actually watched a screening of this movie with a very talented film editor about 10 years ago. When The Hunger Games came out, she said that was Toy Story compared to Battle Royale, and after watching it, yeah, Hunger Games is kind of Care Bears in comparison. It was the first film outside of something like Lord of the Flies to come up with a story surrounding the youth to be this crazy with the concept of killing for sport. In fact, the movie was so shocking when it came out in 2000 that it was banned for the concept alone. But what makes the film so great is not the sick, demented concept, but the drama and characters stuck in survival of the fittest mentality as underdeveloped minds, creating all kinds of raw emotions and character growth. Not to mention, the editing is pretty damn spot on. This is one of the best edited films I've ever seen in my lifetime. This is also, of all things, Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie. And you can see the influence it had later on in his work with the likes of Kill Bill. So, for those who thought The Hunger Games was too soft on its concept, this one adds a lot more dread and drama to be invested in. It's an epic sci-fi rumble and a balls-to-the-wall masterpiece of filmmaking. It's a free-for-all to check out. Number 22, Be Kind, Rewind. This is a film that not many people talk about because it's hard to get a grasp on its tone. I saw this on a whim in early 2008 and came out really inspired. While the story is actually pretty chill and full of genuine heart, the best parts about it are the buddy duo of Jack Black and Mos Def, playing two video store clerks going out of business until all the VHS tapes are erased through magnetization. Moral lesson, folks, don't put tech next to magnets, and the two start a community of remaking movies on said tape with zero budget, but with a lot of creativity. The film coined the sweeted genre of movies that has taken a life of its own since it came out, being one of the first films to be heavily marketed on YouTube, which was just starting to really take off on the internet and created a genre that many young trial filmmakers lock onto to this day, bringing a ton of creativity and imagination through zero budgets. It reminded me a lot of one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Home Movies, both for its influence on filmmaking and the dry humor but heartfelt story. It's a film that doesn't get much attention now and was kind of made on a whim, but it's a good chill movie if you need a kick of inspiration and some good feels. It came out at the right time and got the ball going for a lot of filmmakers, myself included, and is worth being on this list for that reason alone.
What you gonna do about Ghostbusters?
What is that?
That's the Ghostbusters theme song.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Number 21. The Last Unicorn. While other animated films are of higher quality, this film is easily the best goddamn thing Rankin Bass ever did. Yes, that Rankin Bass. The animation is hands down one of the most beautiful I've ever seen, not just for its scope and visuals, but adds to the characters and story in its animation. Set around a beautiful unicorn on a quest to seek her kind under the capture of King Haggard and his demonic Red Bull. And trust me when I say, it didn't need a drink to give it wings in its classic fairy tale plot, but it definitely did in its outstanding voice cast. Mia Farrow's voice is on equal power with the beautiful animation as the stunning unicorn, along with the likes of Alan Arkin, Angela Lansbury, Jeff Bridges, and the iconic Christopher Lee as King Haggard. Not to mention the gorgeous music by the band America with its majestic power and relaxing romantic melodies. I had the privilege of meeting both Mia Farrow and book author Peter S. Beagle at a remastered screening of the film, and it never looked better on the big screen. I saw this film as a young lad, thanks to a recorded VHS that my grandmother taped for me that I still hold on to in memory of her, but the film alone holds that impact on its own. It's another ballsy film for kids, but is easily a gorgeous masterpiece that everyone should seek out, being one of my favorites in the fantasy genre and one of the best animated films of all time. Stay tuned for part 2, and we're going to be tackling the second part of the countdown from 20 to 11.